Yes, this is Mr. Controversy, and this is the infamous three-point conversion station. Keep it locked.
From coast to coast, representing all the dog pound, even though the season's over. This is the BrownsTownUSA podcast, powered by the three-point conversion. The three-point conversion where fans' opinions matter. I'm Eric, and over there is LA. LA!
Yes, your opinions do matter. You are right there. And, it's Brownstown USA coming at you in a little bit of a somber mood here. The season is over, Eric. It is. But the season's not over for us entirely, though, because we have so much to talk about. And we plan on making sure that we give you a Brownstown USA podcast every single week still throughout the offseason. Unless it gets really, really dull, then, we may take a break or something like that. Everybody has summer vacation, But anywho, we're smack dab in the middle of a coaching search, and that's what we're going to get into today. We're going to talk about some off-the-field stuff as well with some of our AFC North rivals going on out there and rumors, and, of course, your Dawgie Bag questions. Thank you guys for asking us questions on that. There's a lot of questions pouring in just overall about the staffing and, the players and who we're going to sign and all kinds of stuff, man. So much to get into, But, again, just to remind you, you are listening to Brownstown USA. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Brownstown USA. Follow us on Instagram. We got an Instagram, y'all, at Brownstown USA. And, of course, our Facebook group at Brownstown USA. If you join our Facebook group, I'm letting you know up front it is private. So you have to answer the questions to be accepted. All right, we're not just going to accept no willy-nilly guy in there. We're not doing it. All right, so answer the questions correctly, enter, and gain access to the group. So, Eric, as we ask every single week, man, what have you been up to this week?
This week went to a wedding, which, let me be honest, trying to watch a football game at the reception while at a wedding, not very easy, because usually when you go to a wedding at some kind of venue, they always have a TV somewhere in the wedding. Like, they have like a little TV that you can watch whatever game's on. This reception area, no TVs at all, so it's like, wait, so I can't even watch the end of the Steelers, because the game of the week up here was actually Steelers and Bengals. Couldn't watch it because there was no TV behind the bar. There was no TV in the lobby. It's like, why are you doing this to me?
Got you. Yeah, I'm in a wedding in a little bit, but I know that, of course, the ceremony, but the reception, man, there's so much going on. And then I remember being a best man at one, and it was just so much going on. I mean, you had to be here, had to be there, taking pictures and toasts and all kinds of stuff, man. So I can understand how hectic that can be. Now, for me this week, man, it's been pretty quiet. You know what I'm saying? I brought in New Year's pretty quietly. I actually went to sleep early, didn't even see the ball drop, man. I guess, I'm getting old. It is what it is, but I wanted to bring it in silently, quietly, and just do my thing, man. But we've had so much news and stuff coming out, man, over this week. So, without further ado, man, let's jump into this Browns-Ravens wrap-up, as you put it. Now, I know we had a little bit to let this settle, had a holiday in between. But overall, Eric, how did that game leave you feeling? How did it leave you feeling?
It was almost like going through the 7 stages of grief almost. I mean, of course, when it first happened, it was just like you were disgusted. You didn't know how to feel, especially with the last plays of the game. then you started to doubt, like, wait a minute, the referee missed that call, the referee missed this call. Then, of course, everybody knows the other stages. I'm not going to go through every single stage. But
Right.
once you get to acceptance, you realize this was not all entirely a bad game for us. I mean, Baker got hit and set the record. Yeah, he threw
Right.
he threw the 3 interceptions, but this was also against one of the top-tier defenses in the NFL.
Yeah, and a lot of those interceptions that you alluded to where it was Baker forcing it, trying to have that gunslinger mentality. And we know what we got in Baker when it comes to that. You're going to get a couple of games during the season, and I know we'll talk about this, in the future. But, as far as what we may see or what Baker may look like in his sophomore year. But I guarantee you there's going to be at least 2 to 3 games out of the season where you're going to see him have, 2 interceptions, maybe 3. But at the end of the day, he does what he needs to do to keep us in the game and to make sure that we are there to at least try to win the game. And that's the thing about this one. I know I predicted for the Ravens to win when we went on for our pregame of this, but the Browns showed me something. They showed me heart. They showed me grit. For a game that really didn't mean crap to them, they came out and played their butts off, man. And I tip my hat to them when it comes to that. Like you said, Baker broke the record, setting the rookie QB passing touchdown record. We seen Nick Chubb, who had already broke the record for the most rushing yards for a Browns rookie running back, but he was right there, Eric. I mean, that one right there, like, really took the wind out of me to see Chubb hit 1,000 yards and then get tackled for a loss. So he ended up, at 996 for the season. That just, I mean, I know he didn't feel good about that, and nobody else felt good about seeing that young man do that. And what I want to ask you about, Eric, on this game is something puzzled me about it. There was a time when we were looking at the whole, Lamar Jackson reaching over the end zone, but they got popped out, and, Jabril Peppers got it and was going to run back. Now, I was mad that the whistle was blown, but looking at NFL rules, if it is, quote unquote, a touchdown, then the play is dead because all scores are reviewable. So the play is dead right there. So not too much mad now after the fact about the Jabril Peppers running back. But the thing that kept coming up in groups, Eric, is that it looked like Williams was a little rattled, especially in that last drive when it came to time management and calling touchdowns and stuff like that. Is that something that you noticed as well?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if it's because of what was going on with him or if it was on Kitchen's end, but the fact of the matter is it looked like something that a rookie to novice coach would do. I mean, I'm not going to fault whoever it is because this is only Williams' 3rd year coaching, I believe, overall, maybe 4th year. And then this is Freddie Kitchen's 1st year as an offensive coordinator. They're going to make those mistakes. There's room to grow there. But at the same token, you have to be ready for anything because as we're seeing in today's NFL, if you're not willing to adapt and roll with the changes, if you're just going to stick to your old mentality for it, you're not going to get anywhere. I mean, Greg is someone that could be a good head coach, but I just don't know if it's all there right now. I mean, I don't know if the stars are aligned for him.
Well, I think you kind of gave him a little bit of a scapegoat as far as Williams with that. I do blame him. Reason being is because he has been a head coach before. He's been coaching for a long time in the league, whether it's been a coordinator position or something like that. And this is not his first time being a head coach at all. So I do put it on him as far as being able to manage the clock correctly. However, I understand that, situations is different. He's with a different franchise. Get it. I got it. Good. But what we're alluding to here, Eric, it seems like both of us are, is that Greg, he's what is one of the biggest things that may take him out of the running to be the next head coach of the Browns. It's just because of those type of mistakes. Like, some people are just good coordinators. I mean, I hate to say it, but Hugh Jackson, for instance, he was a great offensive coordinator, right? But as a head coach, didn't really do that well. Now, we may see him again with the Bengals, which is hilarious. And, we'll talk about everybody in the division and stuff like that and what's that looking like, because it really seems like us and the Ravens are on that uptick, and it looks like the Steelers and the Bengals are going down. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that all shakes out as well coming up. Now, before we transition into our first break, Eric, was there anything else that jumped out to you about this Ravens game that you wanted to touch on?
Probably the biggest thing that I can say otherwise was the comment from Lamar Jackson after the game, who was saying that he believes that him and Baker are going to be a rivalry to watch for the next few years. And I can't help but agree for the most part. I mean, honestly, I think Lamar is going to need to focus on running a little less at times, but that's beside the point. I honestly think that these two will run this division because, as we're starting to see, the Steelers are really starting to really fold underneath the pressure that is the Pittsburgh Steelers legacy, to the point that some fans are even calling for Mike Tomlin to be fired. And then, of course, you got Big Ben, who's going to have to hang him up at some point. Then you got Cincinnati, who, not for nothing, they don't know what they want to do. I mean, it seems like their team without a direction right now.
You're right. You're right about that. The whole Bengals entire front office and everything is just, I can't really tell you what they're doing right now. Like, you just don't know. And crazy enough, I believe it was McDaniels that actually came out, and there was a report out there saying that he didn't even want to interview with the Cincinnati Bengals. It was either him or McCarthy, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just going off the top of my head. But it's some real trouble there. And then, of course, like I said, and we'll get into in our next topic, that there is some things going on with the Steelers right now. So I do agree with Lamar. I told you this. I mean, I said it plenty of times that I thought Lamar was going to be extremely dangerous. I did not want him in our division, but it is what it is right now. And I knew that when the Ravens picked him, I was like, man, this is going to be trouble, because this guy is an absolute athlete. And what I feel he needs to work on is, like you said, picking and choosing when he runs. He's too light and he's getting hit too much, so he could get injured really fast. And then also just overall working on his throwing as well. He needs to work on that, get better with his touches. The arm is there. The arm strength, I would say, is there, but he just needs to get better with the accuracy and all of that, which I think will come with him, gaining more experience. I think what we've seen from Lamar since he's been in is the Ravens being who the Ravens are, especially if you remember when Joe Flacco first started for them. They catered an offense around him where he didn't make that many mistakes. And we're seeing that a lot more with the rookie quarterbacks, that they're trying to dumb it down for them in essence and make it simple so that they don't make a big mistake. And, hey, we have a number one defense, so let's have our defense keep us in the game. And then, let's hit it with the rushing attack. And we've seen that when Joe Flacco first started for them as well. So, Eric, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk about what's trending with the Browns, some huge stuff going on out there with what's trending, and we'll talk a little bit more about the division. So, you are listening to Brownstown USA, powered by the three-point conversion. We will be right back.
Callaway wide left with Landry and Higgins. Darren Fells in tight on the right side. Chubb into the game at running back. Mayfield shotgun. Baker takes it, looks, fires one in. It is caught inside the end zone. It's a touchdown. It's Callaway.
And it's a rookie record for touchdown passes by a quarterback.
How about that? Baker Mayfield into the record books.
And we are back, Brownstown USA. And as we said, we are powered by the three-point conversion. The three-point conversion, where fans' opinions matter. Make sure you jump over there and check them out at the threepointconversion.com. And also on all social media at 3PTCNVRSN. And make sure you check out some of the other shows on the 3-Point Conversion Radio Network. The Real Deal with Damian Adams, where he takes you down and breaks it down, all the games. exclusive interviews, one-on-one interviews with people, and then also he has a touch of trivia in his shows as well. Very, very fun. And then, of course, every Saturday morning, 10 to 12, is the 3-Point Conversion Sports Lounge. You can catch that on radio stations, iTunes, iHeart, anything out there, and also on Facebook Live as well from 10 to 12 on the 3-Point Conversion Facebook page. So now that we got all the shout outs done and paid the bills there, Eric, what's trending? We seen Jarvis Landry. He's been out there, and I think he didn't put on his college head coach hat, and he's been out here recruiting. It seems like,
Mm-hmm.
put on his old Nick Saban hat and trying to get the number one recruiting class in the NFL. So to kind of give everybody a background, if you have not noticed, you had to be hiding under a rock if you don't know what's going on right now. But Antonio Brown, big issues with the Steelers. Did not play that final win or go home, or basically if the Browns win, they get in kind of thing.
Don't worry, we got you.
Yeah, it didn't happen. Steelers didn't get in, but Antonio Brown didn't play. Initially, it was reported that he had a knee injury. However, he did not. He apparently got into it with Ben Roethlisberger at a practice, blew up, and basically said, "I am done," and walked out. So therefore, as Mike Tomlin said in his press conference, if you didn't catch it, that he didn't communicate well enough to everybody there to give them an impression that he was ready to play in that game, so he was benched. Now, great article over on the 3pointconversion.com written by Ab Staley, going into details if you want to check that out and kind of figure out what the heck is going on. But long story short, Jarvis Landry came out, posted a picture of him, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell at the Pro Bowl, and basically said, look, if there's anybody else out there that doesn't feel appreciated, come on to Cleveland and let's win a championship. Eric, I got to ask, how you feel about this, man?
It's funny. I remember the minute that both you and Brad posted that picture, because both of y'all did on the Facebook group. By the way, the Brownstown USA podcast Facebook group, just Brownstown USA. Again, really awesome, but exclusive. So answer the damn questions and join. But anyways, people were saying that the guy's a drama queen. This is the first time he's really been about the drama so far. And no offense, it's for a good reason. I mean, look, he's not the only guy that's exploded on the Steelers about this, especially considering the transition they're going through. But again, I sidetracked. I would not mind an Antonio Brown. I would not really care for Le'Veon Bell personally, only because that running back room, we saw what happened last year with the quality of backs that we have. I don't know if I could go through that again.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, look, at the end of the day, both of these guys are extremely talented, and I am never against bringing in talent. I don't care what happens, okay? Mm-hmm. But again, we're looking at two guys. Antonio Brown about to be, I think, 31 years old. Le'Veon Bell up there as well. Antonio already got his big contract, so he's gonna be, he comes with a hefty contract. And Le'Veon Bell is looking to get paid. I just don't want to see the whole entire cap get absorbed by those two. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know we have the money to do it, but I don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Especially with Bell, just with the fact of how our running backs have been. Now, again, this could change because of whoever we bring in for a head coach. But so far, how we've handled having 2 or 3 backs in the backfield, man, it has not been enough ball to go around. Remember, we said this earlier in our earlier shows when Ohio State, what is his name? Carlos Hyde was here. We said multiple times, it was like, man, there's not enough ball to go around back there, dude. Like, I mean, we've seen what Nick Chubb can do. We know what Duke can do. And then we have Carlos as well, still getting the ball 20 to 30 times a game, and it's just not enough ball. So now you bring in Le'Veon. Now you have to make a decision with Duke Johnson now, because Le'Veon is that all-purpose back, even though I think he's a better running back than Duke. But he's that all-purpose back that you need back there So then that pushes Duke even further back. And Duke is already struggling enough when it was just him and Nick Chubb, bro. So I don't see how Le'Veon can be added to this picture and it actually does well for us when it comes to Duke. We have to make a decision on Duke.
Absolutely. I mean, look, not for nothing, but Duke really started to turn on the Jets, like, towards the end of the season. Now, I'm not saying – I've seen some people say, well, we can get a 4th-round pick for – I don't want to trade Duke, to be honest. Look, unless you get, let's say, a 2nd-round pick or a 2nd-round pick at minimum, I don't want to trade him because we've seen that Duke is a playmaker for us. So why would we want to do that, especially since he's still going to be a cheaper option than Le'Veon, especially in a year that, if you look at it, there's a lot of good defensive talent that's going to be coming out in free agency, from the likes of DeMarcus Lawrence to Trey Flowers from the Patriots, Jadeveon Clowney. And the thing is, some of these teams can't match the offers we can make. So why blow the load on a running back when we just had a running back that probably could be great in the next year or two alone?
Right. And then now when you shift over to Antonio Brown, I don't mind that. Honestly, I don't personally, just because we know that we can always get better at the wide receiver core now. I think we've seen a humongous jump from our core so far, and I think Adam Henry and Kitchens did a very good job with our receiver core. But when it comes to Antonio Brown, I mean, generational talent. I mean, and that's just what it is. So I wouldn't mind him coming in. The whole drama queen thing that came out, I think more so, Eric, was surrounding around Ryan Clark's comments. I don't know if you were able to catch that, but Ryan Clark came out and basically told everybody about how bad of a teammate Antonio Brown was. Quote, unquote, he said that once the Steelers were negotiating with Antonio Brown would be in practice saying, I'm the franchise, don't touch me, and different things like that is what he said. So, but then we also seen on the other spectrum how we have James Harrison, who came out in his support for Antonio Brown, but we also know that James Harrison doesn't like Mike Tomlin in him. So where there's smoke, there is fire, Eric, and this is a very, very interesting thing to keep an eye on and to watch. And I think that, in my opinion, I feel that the Steelers need to just go ahead and blow it up. I think they got a lot of young talent, especially defensively. And then, of course, you've seen the emergence of Juju, Smith-Schuster, and James Conner as well at running back. But the thing with any franchise that makes it go is going to be the quarterback. So you need to see what Big Ben is going to do. But the two important positions, Eric, in any franchise, right, is the head coach and the quarterback. And right now, it looks like we have issues with both. People having issues with Mike Tomlin. People having issues with Ben, too. We've heard teammates come out and say that Ben was a drama queen. So either way, I'm happy as a Browns fan over here that it is going, but it is very interesting to keep an eye on.
It really is, just because we've been bullied by the Steelers for the better part of now going on to our second decade with this. So it's refreshing to see, but at the same time, it means that we now need to take full advantage of this.
Right, we do. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what else is trending with the Browns. This is BrownsTownUSA, powered by the 3-Point Conversion.
Hi, I'm Robert Brazil, and I listen to the 3-Point Conversion Radio.
And we are back, Brownstown, USA. I'm LA, of course, and across from me is my main man, Eric. And we had just gotten done talking about Jarvis Landry recruiting the Steelers and pretty much anybody else out in the league that just feels like they feel unappreciated. He's just like, hey, man, come on over here and we'll make it do what it do. I'm cool with that, Jarvis. I appreciate Jarvis is doing that because before, think about it, Eric, there hasn't been players that came out and said, hey, play for us. people been wanting to get the heck up out. A lot of people been saying that you go to the Browns to die. So now that we have a resurgence in life now, I am happy to see this. Now, speaking into that and going into this transition here, Damarius Randall, who was snuffed for the Pro Bowl, crazy, but he came out and said that he wanted to get an extension. He wanted to talk extension, and he also wanted to finish his career here in Cleveland. Now, I asked the question to a lot of people out there, how long do you feel Damarius Randall wants to still play? The general consensus and answer I got was maybe 10 more years. Believe that will put him at about 36, maybe 34, 36 at the time. He plays 10 more years. So how do you feel about this, Eric, as far as the fact that I understand and I'm cool with the player coming out and saying he wants to finish his career here. I get that, okay? But how do you feel about Damarius going and putting into the media, hey, let's talk extension, let's get this done? Because I believe he's a free agent, right? He's a free agent this year?
No, they actually have an option for him, which they obviously exercised. It's the
my bad. That was Mitchell then. Mitchell.
Yep. It was the what do you call it? It's his 5th-year option. Cleveland took it, and you know what? That just means that they are going to have the 1 year that he's going to have left. So I would get it done this year, to be honest. I mean, look, I in most positions you would say, okay, we'll negotiate after this year. When you have somebody that was playing a do-or-die season, essentially on the 4th year of a 5-year contract, that should say something. I mean, this is a guy that's been a vocal leader on the field and off the field. This is a guy that, for lack of a better word, is showing the dedication after his first year that we haven't seen, and I'm dating myself here, since Dante Whitner, when you get down to it. When was the last time they could say something like that? Because if you remember, Whitner wanted to finish his career in Cleveland, even though he was ultimately released and ended up with the Panthers. But let's not talk about that. The fact is...
Yeah, no, I mean, the only player I can remember off the top of my head that really came out and was like, yo, I'm staying is Joe Thomas. I mean, and that's why we immortalize these kind of players. Not saying Joe Thomas wasn't phenomenal or anything, but it's not too often you see a franchise's hero be a lineman. Think about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fact of the matter is Cleveland has this very interesting perception, if you will, of when you have of their heroes being guys that are either so blue collar that they are, that you would never think that they would be the face of a franchise, or they're playing such a different position. I mean, look at the faces that we have in Cleveland. Otto Graham, phenomenal talent, but if you look at him, the guy was a blue-collar type of guy. Bernie Kosar, blue-collar. Jim Brown, blue-collar. I mean, how many running backs actually went to the University of Syracuse like he did? And then, of course, Joe Thomas, who wasn't even at the draft. He was on a freaking fishing boat. I mean, honestly, the next blue-collar guy, and it's weird, is someone like a Damarius Randall, who is essentially a safety who you would never picture to be the face of a franchise. But on the other side of the ball, it's Baker Mayfield, who, yeah, he's become a little more Hollywood, but this is a guy that also works harder than almost anybody in the league.
Very true. Very true. And, definitely love Randall. Definitely love that secondary back there. Now, speaking with the secondary, Denzel Ward, concussion, he was out. But it looks like he's going to be good to play for the Pro Bowl. Are you for or against him going and playing in the Pro Bowl?
I am good with it on one condition. He needs to be kept on a leash for this because, look, he had 2 concussions and, I believe it was 3 games, I believe it was.
Yeah, within 30 minutes. It seemed like it was so quick.
Yeah, so the thing is, and the Pro Bowl is exciting, especially if you're a rookie and you make it in. I know that there's still people complaining that we should have taken Chubb at number 4, but honestly, we needed Ward more, and it showed. But they need to put him on a leash for this, because if he's going to make those types of tackles, then he's going to hurt himself even more.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree with that too, because the Pro Bowl is nothing but a glorified flag football game. We all know it. But at the same time, when it comes to stuff being so loose and so fun, we still see people get injured, man. And all we need is for him to get bumped again. And all of a sudden, like, now we're looking at, because for the most part, when we've seen with certain people, if you get like 4 to 5 concussions, man, in your career, we're looking at, man, possibly like, should you hang up the cleats? And again, this is a rookie, man, and we want him to be there for a long time. And if this continues to be a problem or anything, you're going to start hearing that growing chatter of, oh, okay, well, this might be a bust, because for whatever reason, people love to put bust and people getting injured in the same category. I hate it, but it happens, you know. So, you know, we need to look at that and keep and monitor that as well. So,
absolutely.
Now, to wrap up everything, we've seen a rash of Browns players coming out saying that wait till next year. You know, we left a lot out there on the field. You know, we need to get back to it. Can't wait. When's the last time you seen so many Browns players come out and support, man, and saying, like, can't wait to get back to it. Gotta work hard, off season, grind time. Dude, is it just me, or does it seem like this is like weird that all these players are coming out and doing this? I haven't seen this in a long time.
From Cleveland, I don't think we've ever seen it. I mean, this is a team that's actually connected. There was somebody sent me something interesting, and the crazy thing about this, so I assume that you're like me and you follow a lot of the Browns on Instagram.
Ooh. I'm sorry, we just got some Browns news, but it actually goes into what we're going to talk about next. So I'll keep it holding for that.
So right now, one of the more interesting things was, and was one of the guys that was hurt, EJ Gaines, who was on a 1-year contract. We all know this by now. He shared a picture on his Instagram story saying, "Big 2019 mood, #more wins," with a picture of it. Now, say what you want, I think Gaines wants to come back. I mean, this is crazy, but we've never seen a team this connected like this.
Yes. And that's the thing, man. That's why I feel like the locker room is good. That's why we've seen people like Corey Coleman get shown the door. It's a mentality, man. It's an environment, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So
now but hold on, before you.
Go ahead.
Now, probably one of the more interesting comments with it, though, is that they're saying that they're sticking together and they're going to want to play together. It doesn't matter who the head coach is, though. I mean, they feel that they could win with almost any coach right now. When have we ever seen that? I mean, look, the thing is, most people, if you remember, were like, oh, we shouldn't have gotten rid of Chudzinski, or players coming out saying, Pettin should be here, he deserves it. We've always had that. This year, they're connected with each other, and they're on the same page to the point that it's past the head coach. This is beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, when we come back, we have some big Browns news to report just fresh off the update wire. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll also talk about our coaching interviews and then dive into some of your questions from our Dawgie Bags. This is Brownstown USA, powered by the 3-point conversion.
How about the most intriguing head coaching candidate out there for you right now, Jim Trotter?
You know, what's interesting is that when you talk to agents who have been doing this for a while, they will tell you that there is no hot candidate this year, which makes this process even more intriguing. The only person that they cite as being a quote-unquote hot candidate is Mike McCarthy because of his history, having won a Super Bowl and the success that he had in Green Bay. The thing I like that I heard, by the way, what Ian was talking about, is that every time you heard of an opening, the team that was putting in the requests most often was the Browns. And I think that's smart from the standpoint of why wouldn't you want to talk to as many people as possible to see who fits. Someone that you may not know a lot about, now you learn about them and maybe they become a hot candidate from that standpoint. And lastly, I'll say this, just because you are not someone's first choice does not mean you are not the right choice for someone else. And I point to Frank Reich because of that.
Yeah. And we are back, Brownstown, USA. And just got done talking about what's trending with the Browns, the recruitment, Damaris Randall wanting to stay here forever, and just everything else that's going on. So, Eric, we got some coaching news, man, that actually just came across the wire, and we were actually about to get into it. So that's awesome sauce. And I'm pretty sure you just seen it on your phone as well. Mm-hmm. But it looks like the Browns, the Freddie Kitchens, he will interview, of course, for the head coaching job early next week. But he's been getting requests for the vacant coordinator jobs around the league. So the league have taken notice of what Kitchens can do. However, the Browns have been declining these interview requests because the team wants to see about he's still under contract, and they want the head coach that comes in to be able to have the opportunity to get Kitchens and hire him as a part of the staff. Now, Eric, we've seen this before. We've seen the reports that Browns would retain Kitchens no matter who came in. So, therefore, we kind of pointed it towards maybe them bringing in Bruce Arians because they work together, different things like that. But, Eric, this is puzzling to me because I want to talk to you about this. Kitchens is still supposed to interview for the head coaching spot. Do you think this puts more pressure on the Browns to just go ahead and promote him as a head coach because they don't want to lose him? Or do you think they still follow their path and their plan to get a guy in that they actually want? If it's not Kitchens, I'm going off of speculation because it may be Kitchens. Kitchens may be the guy. But if he's not the guy, does it put more pressure on them to change up their strategy a little bit because they're seeing so much heat from the rest of the league trying to get Kitchens?
Look, I think that they're going to probably end up having to change their strategy because there's already two teams that we know of that are probably going to reach out to him. One of them being the Jets, the other being the Cardinals because, well, they have something in common, and that's the rookie quarterback. The same way that Kitchens did wonders for Baker, they probably feel that maybe Kitchens could do the same thing here. But that's beside the point. Look, I honestly feel that maybe the NFL and the Browns could see Kitchens as a future head coach here. I think that's the big thing. With a good interview, he could end up being the next head coach of the Browns, especially given that when you look at the people that are interviewing, they're all just like Kitchens, except from different backgrounds, different ideas. The only coaches that don't fit that mold are Jim Caldwell and Mike McCarthy.
Right. And at the end of the day, you don't need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to the offense. I mean, I think I heard a good point from a caller on a radio show is that, I think I was listening to Cleveland Brown Daily, and he said that basically the offense that Kitchens is running looks very similar to Andy Reid's. And, simplifying it for Baker and everything. And also they implemented some different things for Baker as far as the RPO situation is going on. So I think the biggest thing about Kitchens and what makes him so valuable is not really the offensive schemes and thinking that he's a genius and a guru, but just the fact of the relationship that he has with Baker Mayfield, because that's really what it boils down to. The coach can have the best scheme ever, you know what I'm saying, when it comes down to it. But if you don't get along with your quarterback, then that ain't going to be a hill of beans. It's not going to really matter to anything. And you see with people, Eric, that with Belichick and Brady or with a lot of these different pairs, if the coach and the QB can get along and they have a great relationship, then you're normally going to be able to go forward no problem, and whatever happens is going to be able to translate on the field. You see what happens. Like, it just is what it is. And another thing that I like about Kitchens too, before I throw it back to you, is that Kitchens was the one that actually came out and said, hey guys, what do you guys like to run? What do you guys feel like that works out for you guys when it comes to the run schemes and the and the pass blocking and the run blocking? What do you guys like to run? What plays do you like to do? And so he started to get everybody else's opinion. And that's why I think too that you see so many of these players and everything having such a deep relationship and loving the culture there, because they actually care. Just like how it is with the 3-point conversion where fans' opinions matter, to Kitchens, his players' opinions matter. And that's what elevates him and makes him such a valuable piece of this franchise.
Absolutely. And you know what? I know we don't like to keep harping on this, but that's a quality that you need in a coach. I mean, look, you can have someone come in almost immediately and say, I believe we need to run this. We need to do that. Blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, if your players are not comfortable with the plays, then you're gonna fail. Probably one of the best examples of this. Have you ever seen the movie We Are Marshall at all?
I don't remember it if I did see it.
Okay, so it's all about the 1970s Marshall team, which was in the plane crash, and how they had all these and they had all the freshman players. Pretty much the whole team was a bunch of freshmen. And one of the things that Matthew McConaughey had to teach his players was how to run certain offenses, and they had to simplify everything about the offense, how to do it, even how to do option plays. That's the thing. Freddie Kitchens is Matthew McConaughey, except hopefully a better teacher. But the thing is, that's a quality that a head coach needs. And you know what? I'll be honest, going into this, I think a lot of people, like myself, were thinking, there's no way that Freddie Kitchens could run this team. Like, why is he even getting this opportunity to interview for the job? But the more that time goes on, I think we're starting to see maybe Kitchens could have a legitimate shot with this.
Yeah, we seen reports about the fact that the Browns could hire him, and a lot of people laughed about it. But now it's kind of like the league is always looking for that next new fresh thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Freddie Kitchens is hot right now. I mean, what he's been able to do with the Browns, since he's gotten in that position, has been phenomenal. So now we see that the hot names are there. The thing that I worry about, Eric, is that we've seen this with other coaches before in the past, where their name was hot because they had a good year, and then Freddie Kitchens, example, a good 8 games. But is that enough? I mean, first of all, that's his first offensive coordinator position. First time ever. Is it enough, man? Are we really going to – I hope that John Dorsey doesn't feel the pressure too much that Kitchens is such a hot name that he's like, well, you know what, I'm going to just go ahead and promote him to head coach just to keep him. But at the same time, now you got a dude that's way over his head. I don't want that to happen. In any job that you have, in any position, you don't come in right away and become a branch manager. You have to still, spend time at being, a regular employee, then going to an assistant manager, then actually interviewing for a branch manager job. You don't just jump like that, man. And that's the thing that concerns me. I mean, tell me I'm crazy.
I mean, honestly, if that's the case, the one thing that Cleveland's going to need to do, they're going to need to take the Los Angeles approach, if you will. If you remember, when the Rams hired Sean McVay, they pretty much knew that he was this young kid, which, let's be honest, he is a young kid. He's not quite an adult yet. Because isn't he like 30 or 40-something?
Yeah, he's like 33, 34 or something like that.
Yeah, so like kind of similar to Kitchens, played a few years in pro football, never got anywhere, and then held nearly every position on offense, including coordinator for like maybe half a year or so, if I remember correctly. But what they did, and this is one thing that Dorsey might have to do if they want to go this route, they went out and got Wade Phillips to take over the defense. And when you get that kind of veteran presence on defense, I'll tell you, they may not have made the Super Bowl last year. They might not even make it out of the second round of the playoffs this year, but that defense is freaking scary every year.
You're right. You're right. Now, look, we're going to continue on with this. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about the coaching interviews and our thoughts on that. Then we'll hop into your questions. This is Brownstown, USA, powered by the 3-Point Conversion. Be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cat Williams, and you are listening to 3-Point Conversion Radio.
All right, and we are back talking coaching interviews, and we were just talking about the whole Freddie Kitchens, and now the heat has been turned up about his name, and if the Browns need to change their approach a little bit. As we've seen, Eric, John Dorsey basically came out in his presser and said that he was going to cast a wide net out there and leave no stone unturned. I believe I remember hearing other GMs and stuff say the same thing as well, so that didn't really sell me. But I do like the fact that John Dorsey is very thorough. He seems like he's that thorough guy. One point, though, that I did hear, Eric, and I want to get your opinion on this, is that this is John Dorsey's first head coaching hire.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not, as this person said, this is not like being, evaluating talent. This isn't the draft where at that pick, you're going to be able to pick them. Nobody can leapfrog you because you got the number 1 overall pick. This is interviews. This is guys coming in. It has to be a good fit both ways, not just for John Dorsey, but also for whoever's interviewing for the job as well, because maybe they learn. And I don't know if this has happened to you in your previous jobs, but sometimes you interview for a job and it's not what you thought it was, or maybe the numbers aren't right for you, or maybe the fit isn't right. So sometimes you turn down that job, even though they may want you. How do you feel about that?
The first thing I have to say is, and this is probably one of the biggest points that's being overlooked, is right now they have a committee, if you will, which I would imagine probably includes Ron Wolf, Elliot Wolf. I would not be surprised if Baker had some kind of say in the whole matter, since Dorsey's come out and said Baker will probably have some kind of effect on the head coaching search. But the fact of the matter is, he's not alone, which is actually refreshing, because one of the biggest things was, if you remember, going into the Hugh Jackson signing, there were 3 people that were pretty much running that coaching search. Sashi Brown, Paul DePodesta, and Jimmy Haslam. And ultimately, Sashi Brown ultimately won that one, because if I remember, I thought Haslam wanted somebody else. I think he wanted the guy that Buffalo got, McDermott. So if that's the case, then you have to do it, and you need to have those different opinions. The one thing I like about this committee is they'll have different opinions. They'll be able to discuss it and then move forward with a plan.
Right. Now, we talked about our in-house. We talked about Greg Williams a little bit. We talked about Kitchens. Who else out there to you, Eric? And I know we'll go even further on next week's episode about, diving into who else they're going to bring in, because, of course, we've seen them interview, Greg Williams so far. We've seen them interview, Caldwell was interviewed too. Mm-hmm. And then also, how do you pronounce his name? Service?
What do you call it? Stefanski, I think it is.
Stefanski? Okay. So we've seen that as well. Stefanski, come out and he got interviewed today, I believe. So I know we'll see more interview requests coming in. I know that they have something set up with Mike McCarthy. But out of all the names that have been rumored and seen and stuff like that, do you have a leading candidate yet?
At this juncture, I would probably say Matt Campbell at this point. Wait, Matt or Dan Campbell?
Dan.
Okay, so there's two Campbells that could possibly do this. The other one's a complete long shot. But the thing is, he's one of those guys that seems like he would be the perfect candidate for this. Now, knock on wood, because we've heard people like Hugh Jackson, he's perfect for the Browns. But no, like, if you remember, Dan Campbell was a guy that did get the Dolphins to win after Joe Philbin got fired. He could have he probably had coaching options. He decided to go back and learn underneath probably one of the more successful head coaches in the league over the past decade, and that's Sean Payton. So I think he's someone to watch for. I remember hearing that there was somebody that was on the Browns short list, which to me, I don't know how accurate that is, but it was Colts offensive coordinator Nick Sirianni. So we could see those two. Matt Eberflus, the defensive coordinator, could be interesting. Even Mike Munchak, I think, could be a little interesting as well. The only two that I don't really want to – and the only three I really don't want to see at this juncture, I don't want to see Stefanski just because his when he took over for Dave Filippo, that offense didn't really impress me all year at all. So,
yeah, Vikings were definitely very weird to me. They're just a weird team overall in general. Mm-hmm. The guy that I say absolutely no to, that I would just be absolutely mad about, which a report came out saying that we weren't linked to him, thank God, even though at first people were trying to put the rumors out there, was Adam Gase. I just absolutely don't want to see this guy here. We've seen what he did in Miami as far as just tearing apart that locker room down in Miami. And one of the reasons why – oh, are you serious?
Uh-oh.
So, Brogan Roback just signed with the Steelers. Fan favorite Brogan Roback just signed with the Steelers.
Well, I guess that means that Baker's going to unfriend him.
Well, that means, man. That means that, Ben is retiring.
Well, we see this every year. We said, and they drafted Mason Rudolph last year. Oh, Ben's retiring. Oh, they drafted Landry Jones. Ben's retiring. But no, I know that you didn't want Gase. The other two names I personally don't want, I want Brian Flores to stay the hell away from Cleveland. No offense. My biggest problem is I look at the Patriot defense. Yeah, that front seven looked good, but the secondary looked worse than ours. I mean, and the thing is, they have a lot of solid veterans out there in that secondary with Eric Rowe, McCourty, and then they have a pretty good secondary, but he couldn't do it. And then the other one is I don't want Caldwell. I think he just plain sucks.
Yeah. I think, like I said, it looks like Dorsey is definitely going through and doing his due diligence, but at the same time, doing that sometimes can shoot you in the foot because you're spending so much time with all these people, and then that's when other teams that have their mind made up and ready to go for their dude just scoops in and gets their dude. And maybe that was a dude that you had, on your board at 2 or 3, or maybe even 1, but you're sitting up here and you're trying to interview 5 and 6, and another team scoops in and makes him an offer he can't refuse. So that's the only real big thing that I have a problem with Dorsey. And how I heard on the radio earlier this morning that somebody had said that Dorsey didn't have his guy picked out, even though we believed on the contrary that he did have a guy in mind. But maybe it's real. Maybe he does not have a guy in mind. And, like I said, if he sits up there and he drags his feet with this, man, this could really bite us in the butt when it comes down to it, even though the Browns have been listed as, either the top destination or the second best destination out there amongst the teams with head coaching openings, and I've seen us going back and forth with Green Bay. Some people still think Green Bay is a good place to land, but most people think that we're the best place to land. So I'm just hoping, man, that we don't drag our feet too much on this.
I don't think they will, because this is probably the one position that you can't drag your feet on. I mean, quarterback, you can wait and wait and wait, unless you wait for too long, similar to the New York Giants right now. But, I think right now you can't, as you said, don't drag your feet, don't dawdle. Just make the right move, period.
Right. And we've seen before in head coaching searches that the Haslams have dragged their feet before. I forgot. I think that was the year that maybe Chudzinski was the hire, but we had seen everybody, all the hot names just fly off the board, and we were like, okay, well, who's left? And all of a sudden it was like, oh, Chudzinski is the coach, and we're like, who? So I just hope, that doesn't happen again, because there's really not the top hot names out there right now. Like, there's everybody that's out there right now are just kind of that, they got good qualities, or, they're retreads, or they're first time, coordinators. But there's really not that Sean McVay or that, that big hot name out there right now. So, like I said, this is going to be very, very interesting. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take some questions from you in our Dawgie Bag segments. And then we're going to wrap up with our final thoughts of today. So, Eric, you having fun?
I'm having fun, man.
Good. This is Brownstown, USA, powered by the 3-Point Conversion. Be right back.
We interrupt this program to bring you this piece of news.
It's LA and Eric here to tell you about the Brownstown USA podcast here on the 3-Point Conversion. We have facts, opinions, and hot takes about Cleveland's favorite team.
The Cleveland Gladiators?
Man, why on earth would we? Never mind. The Cleveland Browns. You can hear it here every week on the 3-Point Conversion.
And now, back to your regularly scheduled program on demand.
And we are back. We are back at Brownstown, USA, talking head coaching, interviews and carousel and rumors and all that. We'll just wrap that up. But guess what? We have a segment called the Dawgie Bag, which was made famous by my man Eric over there. Came up with the concept, but he said, hey, man, we're going to do a show. We're part of the 3-Point Conversion where fans' opinions matter. We need to see what the fans think. We need to see what's on their mind. So came up with Dawgie Bag, and this is where we answer your questions that were flying in. And, again, if you want to get your question heard on the show, just hit us up, on Brownstown USA, Twitter, Brownstown USA on Instagram now, so you can reach us there as well. And also Brownstown USA in the Facebook group, as long as you answer our questions. All of them. Anywho, Eric, I seen one Dawgie Bag question. I want to get out the way, and then I know that you have a bag full of yourself.
Go right ahead.
But we had our boy, Paul Brown, UK, good friend of the show, reached out to us and wanted to know our opinions on what happens with Darren Fells, I believe he asked.
Nope, Seth the Valve,
I'm sorry. He wanted to know what was going on with them. So, what do you feel that we do with Seth the Valve?
At this point, try to trade him or cut him. I mean, not for nothing. The Valve is can be a good player. He's had a weird stint over the last few years, but he doesn't have a place on the team really anymore because Fells came out. Fells is a good blocking tight end, but as we saw, he has the ability to catch. Njoku is freaking Chief Slam here, so I don't think he'll be going anywhere. And I hate to say it, I think we end up getting rid of both him and Valve and Charles, and possibly drafting somebody, if not signing somebody. So I think the Valve's place on the team is lost.
Yeah, I believe so too. Our tight end position has always just been weird, but I think it's finally being solidified with David Njoku. I think he was second on the team as far as receptions. I think you put that out there. And like you said, with Fells emerged, and we always keep like that random backup tight end, like an Olsen Charles type person. So I think that he might have something still in the tank, but it may not be with the Browns any longer. So that will be a cut that we see, and now we won't be surprised. I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll still get an overreaction just because I wouldn't say he's like a fan favorite, but he's still a guy that people like. So,
I mean,
I'm sure we'll get some kind of reaction.
I mean, considering that we had people essentially starting petitions for Devin Kajus to come back and Gary Barnage to come back, you're probably absolutely right on that.
Yeah, we just don't, us as Browns fans, we just don't like to let go. It just happens. We don't like to let go. We don't like to move on. But it happens. So, what else you got in the bag, man?
Any concerns around Mike McCarthy's last 2 seasons?
Concerns? Yes. You should always be concerned when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers and you do what you do. However, I say the same thing on the opposite end. By having a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, it's tough to deal with a high-level personality like that, a phenomenal, first ballot Hall of Famer like that. It's hard to deal with that, man. So I give him kudos for being able to handle Aaron Rodgers. I also give him a pass, too, because of the fact that Aaron has been injury-prone over these last few years as well. And it's hard to – all of a sudden you're looking at a Deshaun Kaiser, coming in and still being able to run it. Also, I give him kudos because of the fact of the Packers front office, Eric. They have not really built that team that well. I mean, we've seen them lose people, and especially Aaron Rodgers, we've seen him lose his toys, and they haven't really brought in people to replace those toys or even give him more toys. We've always seen him be one-dimensional, where he just had that one wide receiver that he always threw to. Or with the defense, they're plugging and playing, but they just didn't really do a good job with surrounding Aaron Rodgers. I feel like the Packers could have been a lot better than what they have been, especially with having a Hall of Fame QB in Aaron Rodgers. I think they just did a terrible job.
I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, look, we could sit here and say that Mike McCarthy was underwhelming this year, and it wouldn't be wrong, but as you said, the GM did no favors for them. I mean, keep in mind that it was only 2 or 3 years ago that this was a team that had Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson. They had, I believe it was Jared Cook at wide receiver at one point. And now compare that to, and then they also had they also had a solid running back as well. I mean, everyone talks about Ty Montgomery, but the thing is they let a lot of pieces walk on that offensive line. And then they had one other back, the one, I think it was Eddie Lacy, if I remember, who that's a weird story in and of itself, but that's the thing. I mean, they decided to let Randall Cobb retire, essentially. Jordy Nelson gets cut and sent over to the Raiders. Jared Cook goes to the Raiders. And they replace him with Jimmy Graham, who, don't get me wrong, Jimmy Graham is a decent tight end, but he's not the Jimmy Graham that we saw with the Saints. And then they trade Montgomery to the Ravens. And, well, the whole thing is Aaron Rodgers put a lot of the blame on McCarthy. I mean, the thing is Mike McCarthy's offenses are very quarterback heavy, but they didn't do anything for him. And you know what? The first person that really did anything was Aaron Rodgers, when he's just like, yeah, I'm not taking the blame. I'll just push McCarthy under the bus for this one.
Right, which I kind of feel like I said is bullcrap. I mean, at the end of the day, Rodgers is taking his money. He's gotten his contracts. I mean, it is what it is. And we've also seen a trend too in the NFL, Eric, where think about it, the top 5 or top 6 highest paid QBs aren't even in the playoffs. The people that are in the playoffs are people that are on QB-friendly contracts. They're rookie deals. Like we seen with the Rams. We seen that's why the Rams could build so fast around Goff is because he's still on that rookie deal. Now, once Goff gets that big payday that he's looking for, they're not going to be able to retain everybody. I mean, it's a trend that happens. We see it all the time. You can't do that. So what you do is you get your rookie quarterback. He shows flashes. He shows that he's good. You build around him, try to make that Super Bowl within that rookie contract, and then go from there. And it just is what it is. So I don't really put the blame on Mike McCarthy there. And I still think he's not my leading candidate, but he wouldn't be a, oh, man, kind of person if we got him.
No, yeah. All right, let's see what else we got. Here we go. Why are the Browns trying to fix something that isn't broken? Greg Williams should be getting. This should just be all the formalities. Greg Williams should be the head coach. No. Here's my thing. How do you know it's not? How do you know that something isn't broken? Look, we clearly saw that when we played teams that were on our level, we could beat them. But what happened when we played the Houston Texans? What happened when we played the Chiefs? And then ultimately the Ravens. Look, we did push them. Okay, we only pushed the Ravens. The other two just smoked us. But
Right.
But the thing is, and the funny thing is, someone was making the excuse, well, they had more talent. It's not about how much talent is on the field. It's how well you're able to coach them to success. And the thing is, as early as those games were in the Greg Williams era, we just weren't prepared.
Yeah, Eric, it's like as Browns fans, we have to get past this whole good enough stage, okay? Like, I'm tired of us seeing flashes or we're seeing something that is good and is good enough for us. Because we won some games and we almost came a game over 500, we almost had a winning record. All of a sudden, that's good enough. No, that's not what the standard is. The standard is, and always should be, the freaking Super Bowl, bro. Not having a losing season. And that's the thing. We've been losing for so long that as fans, we have trained our minds to say, okay, well, if we win 5 to 6 games or something like that, then we need to keep the coach. No, because 5 to 6 wins on the Patriots, you're getting fired. 5 to 6 wins on the Bears. The Bears, like I said with Lovie Smith, you're getting fired. That's not the standard. The standard has to be 10-plus wins. Let us get in the playoffs. Let us have a chance and a shot at the Super Bowl. That is the standard. Stop settling for good enough, Browns fans, and let's turn good into great.
Exactly. There was a shocking stat that came out from Pro Football Focus. Where was it? Here it is. You ready for this?
Yeah.
So they put out their team grades and ranks for this year. The Browns finished with an overall of an 80.1, which was 23rd overall. The offense finished with a 76.8, which is 13th, and a defense of 71.3, which was 27. Here's where it gets bad. So we all know the offense picked up at the end of the year after Hugh Jackson was fired. They went from a 76.8 to an 83.4, which became the second highest in the league in that time span. That is freaking phenomenal. But it comes at a cost. The defense went from a 71.3 to a 66.7. If you're going to sit there and tell me that you think that is acceptable, then no, it got worse. I don't care how many turnovers we had. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is our defense playing effectively. PFF measures that, and guess what? They're not.
Fair enough. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to give you our final thoughts and wrap up this show. This is Brownstown, USA, and we are so sad because the Browns season is done and I want more football. Browns football. But we'll be right back.
What up, sports fans? It's your boy Damian Adams from The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Now, you can catch my show weekly here on the 3-Point Conversion station. I'm always bringing that real sports talk for the real sports fan. But if you're hearing my voice right now, that means you're living life correctly because you're listening to Brownstown with my man LA and Eric. Make sure you stay tuned. Tell your friends about the show because you know they're bringing that real for you, that knowledge for you here on Brownstown.
And we are back. Brownstown, USA. I want more Browns football. So does Eric. But, so we just got done talking and taking your Dawgie Bag questions. Definitely appreciate it. Send some more in. Keep them coming. Even if we don't get to them this week, we will save them and get to them next week. We have nothing but off season in front of us, so we will talk. We want to know your questions, and we'll address them. We'll get to them. Promise you that. So, Eric, just to wrap up, man, and final thoughts. So, we talked about all the coaching candidates and different things like that. At the end of the day, what is your ultimate outlook? Do you feel that Williams and Kitchens will be here next year?
I think Kitchens has a really good chance to.
What's your percentage?
I would say that Kitchens has about a 75% chance, to be honest. I mean, not for nothing, but it seems like a lot of coaches would probably want to keep that tandem together. I mean, look, Freddie Kitchens did shock a lot of people, especially if they go with a defensive-minded coach. I think Kitchens is going to be very valuable. So I think Kitchens will be here in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
What about you?
And that's what I was going to go to, too. I was going to say that it depends on what kind of head coach we bring in. Because, actually, you know what? I don't even think that matters, to be honest with you. Because if we bring in an offensive-minded head coach, I still think we can retain Kitchens just because of the fact that we've seen how Hugh did look a little better when he finally gave somebody else the play calling, even as bad as it still was. So I think it's the same thing with the head coach. Like, look, you can be offensive-minded all you want. That's fine. But still allow those responsibilities to be handled by somebody else. So I think Kitchens can go and be there that way. I also feel like Kitchens can be there, like you said, if there is a defensive-minded coach as well. It all boils down to this. To have a strong head coach, you need to have a strong staff, and we need strong coordinators there. So whoever they bring in order for them to succeed, I feel that if you're going to bring in somebody to take and replace Kitchens, you need to bring in somebody that's better and more credentialed. You cannot go backwards. We can't be having an offensive coordinator that we never heard of again. Also, that scares me, though, because of the fact that I don't want Baker to have to learn all this new stuff all over again. I don't want our defense to learn stuff all over again, even though it looked like that's what's going to happen. That's the excuses that we come up with when we get into the next season, right? We always have a new head coach. We always have a new something. And then all of a sudden the team has to relearn everything, and we start hearing those excuses. Oh, well, they didn't know the playbook. They need a season under their belt to learn the playbook. Or we didn't have the right personnel because we went from a 3-4 to a 4-3. Or, something like that. It's always some kind of excuse, dude. And that's the one thing that I don't want to have happen again, ever again.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the one thing I am starting to notice is that at least with the coaches that are being rumored, most of them follow the same defensive philosophy. And that is that they run a 4-3 or they run a hybrid, which is really good for us in a way. I mean, the thing is, but when you get down to it, the Colts defensive coordinator, 4-3, Brian Flores runs a hybrid which incorporates both the 4-3 and the 3-4. So, you know what? If you can keep the play, when you have players that can play one style when you have players that can play mainly one spot like that, you got to keep them together. this defense is too connected to go to a 4-3 or a 4-4-2 or even a Bear defense.
Which we've seen with Williams, like he does sometimes go into the Bear. He's so weird with his defense calling. Like, I mean, it's like they do all kinds of stuff. Like he runs an absolute hybrid. So definitely weird, man. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, Eric, with a neat little bow. I'm sad. There's no more Browns football. So I think I'm going to go back and just rewatch stuff on different places and try to catch old games and do what I can, Eric, because I'm so sad.
Yeah, I hear you. I've got my PlayStation 2 all fired up. I've got my Madden 2004 going right now. Did my draft. I have Trent Green and Ricky Williams. And shout out to freaking Raphael for this one. But I have Marty Booker. Oh, and I have rookie Terrell Suggs, so I can't complain.
Nice. Well, look, this has been Brownstown USA, powered by the 3-Point Conversion. As we said, catch the 3-Point Conversion at 3pointconversion.com. Great articles. We are putting out the playoff previews currently right now. 2 articles already are fresh out. Continue to catch us for that. Also, make sure you follow Brownstown on all your social media outlets as well. This, and I'm giving an announcement now, is that we will be changing over a little bit when it comes to our feeds. So if you normally subscribe to us on this feed, keep a lookout because we will be on our own feed starting next week where you can just go and search for Brownstown USA and you'll just find us and you can subscribe that way without having to be all confused that, that it says 3-Point Conversion. We fixed that. So we're going to be on our own new feed. You can find us Brownstown USA just by searching it, and then we'll work hard to get us on all those other major platforms as well, iHeartRadio and all that other stuff to make sure you don't have a problem finding us. So, again, thank you for listening.
Not to mention, this is with this being the playoff, /off season. We're going to be doing probably one show a week just because we don't have to do a pregame or a postgame for this. The only time that you may see a double episode, and it could be soon, is when a new coach gets hired or if there's a major signing. So we'll have the first real big analysis of this that you won't find anywhere. So if Jadeveon Clowney or Trey Flowers ends up in Cleveland somehow, we got you, fam.
Definitely. Good words to be put. So, again, we thank you for all the listeners. We are growing, and we appreciate that because we could not grow any bigger without the help of you guys. So, thank you very, very much. So, again, this is Brownstown USA, LA and Eric, signing off.
Peace!